Right. So, hello, Michelle. You're the CEO of Roy Morgan Research
Roy
in
Morgan
Melbourne,
Research, that's right, yeah.
and you're heading over here to New Zealand to participate in the Reactor debate on Monday night on TV3.
We are.
So this will be a first for New Zealand. We've had some mixed experiences with the worm in the past. Would you like to tell us a little bit about what's involved in all this?
Well, this will be actually a first for the world. This is a very interesting thing where we'll actually have both a studio audience reacting to the debate between the two leaders, and we'll have hopefully thousands of New Zealanders all around New Zealand using their mobile phones to give their reactions to what the two leaders are saying as they debate each other. So what will happen is that in the studio audience there will be a number of people recruited. I'm not sure whether it will be sort of 50 or 100 people will be recruited. They'll be recruited so that they're a balanced audience of uncommitted voters is the plan.
Yeah.
So that there's not much point having people who are rusted on National voters or rusted on Labor voters, because they're hardly going to be moved by whatever any of the leaders say. But if you get a sort of an uncommitted group of people, they'll be listening to what's being said and they'll be forming their judgment on the day. So it'll be interesting to see how they respond or react, second by second to what the leaders are talking about. And that's what will be happening in the studio of TV3. What will be happening, though, all around New Zealand is that anyone who wants to engage with the program, anyone who wants to watch this debate and essentially say how they feel about it, will be able to do that for the first time. And that's the thing that's really a world first. So those people, all they need to do is to download the app. So they go to the App Store and they download an app onto their mobile phone. And then when the leaders start their debate, they can actually start on their mobile phone, indicating whether they feel positively or negatively to the, what's being said.
And do they just slide a bar, do they, on the phone?
Yeah. On the mobile phone, on the face of the mobile phone, when you download the app, you actually get a picture of a slider bar, and with your finger, you're moving it to the right if you feel positively, and to the left if you feel negatively. Easy as that. And what we find is that people, when they're doing this, it becomes quite unconscious. They just sort of do that without even thinking about it.
Right. And you did a test of this on Thursday night, I understand.
We did, and it worked. Yeah, so we had well over 1,000 people all around New Zealand actually reacting to a program, and it was just fine. We could actually see the reactions coming in, and this is amazing. Just from a technology perspective, it's quite amazing that you can have something going to air, and people are watching it on their television screen wherever they are, and then reacting, and that's coming back onto the screen that they're watching in less than a second.
That's extraordinary. It is
quite amazing, the level of engagement that this is creating.
Yeah. So how do you then mix how do you display this, and how do you mix the reactions of the public, which are not necessarily a balanced sample, with those audience?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And in fact, we're not going to mix the two for that very reason. The solid, if you like, research, really important part of this happens from the people in the studio.
Yeah.
So the people in the studio who've been selected very carefully, they will form the line or the graph that appears on the. They'll make the line or the graph that appears on the program. So those people will actually be using trying to show you this. They'll be using a dial like this, and they'll actually move it to the right or the left in the studio, and that will appear. The line will appear on the screen.
Ah, okay. So that will be the worm.
That will be the worm, if you like.
Yeah.
But from time to time, and that will happen throughout the whole debate. Now, when something really exciting happens, and we all hope something exciting happens, or when TV3 thinks something exciting is about to happen, then they can actually say, well, let's see what everyone else around New Zealand thinks about this. And they'll be able to bring in the line or the graph or the worm, if you like, from the whole of New Zealand. So we may see that the whole of New Zealand has a totally different view than the people in the studio, or it may be very much the same, but we'll be able to see quite clearly what's the real solid, well-chosen studio audience, and what are the people who are, if you like, engaging from their homes, what are they thinking?
So the most famous incident involving a worm in New Zealand political debate history occurred, I think, back in maybe the 2002 election, or even earlier. It might have even been 1999. Actually, I think it was 99 when have this politician called Peter Dunn, who started talking about common sense, and the worm reacted extremely positively to him. He's a
Yes,
big,
isn't that interesting that the electorate were interested in common sense?
and
Yes. No, look, I think there was a huge lesson there, a couple of lessons really. One is that people all around the world like to hear their leaders talking straight. They like to hear them talking about what they think, what they feel, what they're going to do, and common sense seems to go down really well with the electorate. So that's one lesson that everyone could learn from. I think the second lesson is that in that instance, what happened is that Peter Dunn was able to actually grab attention, so that he was able to raise, he was able to raise his own awareness by achieving that. And so anyone who's leading a minor party or who's less well known can actually, the key task for them is to get better known. So that's what that achieved for him.
Well, I mean, and as a result of that, I don't think that the major party debates don't have the minor party leaders in them, because they don't want to give them that oxygen. See,
well, do you think the Reactor achieved that, or the worm achieved that?
I think the worms definitely played a part in changing the perceptions of the major party leaders.
Yes, I think that might be the case. Look, we always find that there's always a consideration about should there be a debate or not. And in fact, the candidate who wants to be the leader, the opposing party, generally wants to have a debate, because it gives them a really good opportunity to strut their stuff, to show their leadership capabilities, which they don't get on a normal basis. But it goes to an even greater extent, doesn't it, when you're talking about minor party leaders who really don't have a huge opportunity to get in front of the electorate, to be spotted and well known and well seen. And I think the Reactor just gives them that extra shot of adrenaline, if you like, with the electorate. One of the things that's really interesting as well, we talked about the fact that we'll be showing the studio audience, and we'll be showing from time to time the rest of the New Zealand population. The other thing is, immediately after the event, we'll be able to look at how men and women separately felt about what was said. We'll be able to look at how older people and younger people felt about what was said. So that what we're seeing is, with the Reactor line or the worm on TV, you're seeing one line, but underneath that, we're able to delve right in and see, gee, that was a really no-go zone for women, or men loved that, or young people thought that was a terrific point. We're able to delve right into all of that, and that's even much more fun.
Right. So is there going to be a way for people to look at that subsequently and interrogate that information, or?
Look, we're hoping so. I'm not sure that we've got all of that planned at the moment. This is something that is, I guess because it's a world first, we're saying let's get the first line air, but then we'll be looking at it, and almost certainly we'll be able to put it up onto a website, and if you're interested, we'll put it up onto your website and let people have even a little play.
Thank you very much.
That's where some really good stuff comes.
So thank you very much, Michelle. I'm just going to stop the recording now, and in a second I'll get back to you and talk about some other things.